G'day legends, I hope you're all awesome. On today's video, we're taking a look at this guitar with a 3D printed body. I want to play it and make some sounds with it. And I have to say a very, very special thank you to Alan, who's a viewer of my channel. They 3D printed this body and put this kit together based on a video by Joseph Prusa. I'll link that video in the description because it's got all the important information about how you actually make one of these, the inspiration behind the project, some of the kind of challenges that came with using a 3D printed guitar body. It's a fantastic video. You may have seen it already. It's been pretty popular, but I just want to make some guitar noises with it. The first thing that I noticed with this is the body's very, very light. So the kind of neck and hardware comes from a Harley Benton like Telly style kit. And then you 3D print the body and put everything together. Again, I'll direct you to that video because it gives you the whole process on there. But the first thing is really, really nice and light. It's considerably like normal feeling. It doesn't feel super weird. Like it definitely feels like I'm holding a guitar. And the other thing is acoustically, it is very, very loud. Check this out. So, my speaking voice and then this thing kind of zinging away, which is really, really interesting. Now, this guitar does need a setup. I think it's basically just had the neck put on, the bridge put on, and strings applied to it. I did a little bit of tweaking on the bridge and the action myself, but it's still not fully set up. So I just want you to hear this thing. I'm going to give you a clean sound, a crunchy sound, and then, my usual kind of full-on greasy tone. We'll hear it over some jam tracks. First, let's see if you can play blues with a guitar that's not made out of wood. This should be interesting. it feels like a guitar, and it certainly sounds like a guitar. I don't want to get into the whole tone wood debate or what's important, how important are your pickups? Are they the most important thing on your guitar? They're not relevant at all. I will leave that up to other people. But there's a few takeaways for me from playing this thing for a few days. And I think the main thing is probably with something like this, I think a lot of the joy is actually in the project of putting it together. Like, I didn't get to go through the process of printing this myself. I didn't get the kind of satisfaction of putting it together. And, you know, as a fan of Lego as a kid and an adult, the thing that I used to love was putting those kits together. So satisfying when you can put it together. And I always remember I had a friend at school whose parents got them a Lego set, but like his parents put the Lego set together on the night before his birthday and gave him the completed kit. And he was telling me about how awesome it was that he didn't have to put it together. And I was just thinking, that's like all of the fun there. So part of me thinks that I would have a much bigger attachment to this if I actually went through the entire lengthy process of 3D printing all the parts, which probably also means that it gives me the perspective on it where I'm not approaching it from a labor of love. And there's certainly, you know, some kind of drawbacks with this. Most of them, I would say, come from the fact that ultimately it's a cheap guitar kit. And while cheap guitar kits nowadays are a lot better than they were, say, 10, 20 years ago, you know, this certainly doesn't feel like a high-end instrument or anything like that. It's fun to play, but, you know, it kind of feels like a cheap guitar. And while the body is certainly stunning to look at, I think you would need to spend quite a bit of time kind of, you know, doing some fine sanding or applying a finish to this to kind of get it to feel like, you know, what a painted wood guitar body would feel like even on a cheap guitar. The other thing as well that I did notice when I was kind of playing this is that, you know, you kind of play a chord and, you know, the good old telly or strat thing, you kind of pull on the neck. There's a couple of parts which kind of creak around as well. I'm sure that's something that can kind of be optimized. And, you know, for a first time, this is wicked. This was actually so much fun to play. And showing it to a few people, they were just really, really impressed. I think as like a concept piece for something that can be put together for not too much money, again, the advantage of using a cheap kit and 3D printing is this can be done for a relatively low price rather than, you know, going for something that's a super high-end instrument. I don't think that's the point. I think the joy is in doing the 3D printing yourself, assembling this kind of kit, and just doing something that's a little bit off the wall and different. Furthermore, you can certainly make it sound very, very good. Is it a great guitar? I wouldn't go so far to say that it's a great instrument. It's certainly a lot of fun to play though. And, you know, a lot of the time, that's all we want to do is have a bunch of fun. So big thank you to Alan again for letting me borrow this guitar. It's been so much fun, and seeing how passionate they are about putting this together and how excited they are. Like I was saying, I think that's the real key in this. So if this is something that you're interested in doing yourself, again, I've linked the original video in the video description. Go and check it out. Send that video some love. You can get everything that you need and everything you need to know from that particular video. And yeah, let me know. Would you do this? Have you done this? Does a 3D printed guitar appeal to you? And if so, what sort of improvements would you suggest? Would you go with, say, different pickups? You know, would you use active pickups or some kind of, you know, non-traditional design? Would you order a like nicer neck from somewhere like Warmouth or All Parts? Or would you go all in and buy something like a carbon fiber neck that you can get from like Rubato guitars? Friends of the channel, Rubato, do a all carbon fiber guitar, which you've seen on the channel before, the Lassie. Or, you know, would you 3D print this out of, you know, something that's not plastic? Or would you just put together a wood guitar? I'd love to hear from you. This video has been so much fun. Thanks again, Alan. I'll play you all out with a big, greasy guitar sound out of this thing over a track from my buddy Backing Tracks by Tim. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.